Hello, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to another live stream, Deerwood Realty, St. Louis, Missouri. We help our buyers, we help our sellers, but it's Christmas Eve and no one has called me today. No one wants to go on a showing. No one wants me to list their home. I did see some farms listed down in southern Missouri today, but things are pretty quiet. Are we open? If Google Business calls me, are we open? Yes. You call me right now and want to look up a home? Yeah, let's go do it. If it's vacant, we can go. I've got a Christmas Eve party tonight at 7 that I need to be at, but I mean it's 2:30. I'll be off the stream at 3:30. We can go 5:30. I'm there. 4:30. I'm there, and I would do it. And I'll tell you, one of the things that made me laugh yesterday when talking about the lady that I did show a house on. I think it was Christmas Day or New Year's. I don't remember which one anymore. But I have often shown houses to people, last minute, if I know them or something like that, or if they're, if they're pre-approved. I did show a house one time to a guy. I was building a deck, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm building a deck." He's like, "Will you please show me this house?" I said, "Oh yeah, sure." So I took a shower, got cleaned up. Probably took 4 hours to go show the house. We had a pool. I think it was $350,000 asking price. Guy never called me back, and I know he bought a house with someone else. He actually bought a house where the listing agent was also representing him. So disappointing, yes. Is real estate a disappointing industry for some, for many? I'd say for many, yes. Got a lot of things to go over today. Don't know how it's going to go. Again, trying not to be so intense over the holidays, trying to just let it down a few notches. This will be the case until after New Year's, probably. I just don't want to get all riled up if I don't have to, although it's in my nature. So that's how that's going to go. I got another subscriber yesterday, and so whoever did subscribe, thank you. I'll tell you what, I'm putting it out there. I think this is the 26th consecutive stream, if I haven't mentioned it already. Going to do 30 in a row. Had to play hurt this week. Still recovering. Not COVID. I'm going to live. So it means a lot. Every subscriber means a lot. And what's strange is, and what I wanted to talk about a couple days ago, and I never really got into it, was this idea of like real subscribers and real people versus fake subscribers. Like what you see on Twitter. So I have 30 followers on Twitter. I just recently got back on the platform for Deerwood Realty, and there's some accounts they'll have a million followers, but they're strange because no one's really interacting. And the same thing is true for YouTube that I've found. At first, I started out wanting to have all kinds of subscribers, and I wanted to be, I wanted to have all these views and everything, and then I was getting a lot of subscribers, maybe 10 a week or something, and then it was for my shorts, and so the people that were watching my shorts were like 12-year-old kids. That I hope they have an interest in real estate. Okay, don't get me wrong. But a 12-year-old kid in the Philippines probably isn't interested definitely not interested in a live stream about real estate at all. I wouldn't think. And so, I've gone back to trying to build my channel with the subscribers that would be somewhat interested in my content. So if you're a real estate agent, you'd probably be interested in my content. Probably thinking about maybe starting a live stream yourself. Maybe you could do better than me. I'm positive you could do better than me. I have no doubt. Try it. See how it goes for you. I want you, and then ask me on for when you get like 10,000 subscribers. Ask me on for a collaboration, because people like real estate. Okay, there's no question. People love. I haven't done the article yet, but there's actually an app coming out where people are going to be able to share on Zillow. Like they're going to be able to gawk over houses on Zillow together on their iPhone. People that don't even know each other. It's coming. So, what what I want is a group of subscribers that is engaged, watching, and it's okay if the numbers aren't 100%. And on the real estate side, if you're a real estate agent, and you're in a different market, we look at houses all over the country. And maybe like today we're going to be in Houston. We're going to look at Houston houses. I don't know anything about Houston. Never been there. As far as I know, might never ever go there. Now, two things. If you're a real estate agent down there and you're watching my live stream, number one, say, hey, I understand the Houston market and I've got access to these listings. I can give you the disclosures. I can tell you a little more about this house. I know the neighborhoods. That would bring value to our discussion. Okay, we can collaborate. I'll get StreamYard for that kind of thing. And then like my real estate friend now, and I think he's in Phoenix. I don't know. Gotta look him back up. But that guy, hey man, let's work out a collaboration. If I ever get somebody that's moving from St. Louis to Phoenix, you're my guy. You're my guy. And that's true of the rest of the country. So anybody that's an agent that wants to jump on board, and I'm not going to do it like I'm a member of the real estate, whatever the heck it is out of Vancouver, where we can refer people online and make all this stuff. Look, the way I see it, if I give you a referral, you'll pay me, and if you don't, then you're just a bad person. I'm not interested in all these contracts and whatnot. Just be a good person. And the same thing is true. If you refer me and you tell me who this person is, I'm happy to pay a referral, going rate referrals. But I'm not my show isn't going to be a bunch of spam for that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to sit there and scream out agents' names in every different place. We're only going to focus on one place a day, if even that. So, would I like some more insight into markets from a real estate agent? Absolutely, because I know St. Louis. Okay, I understand St. Louis very well. And the things I know about it probably keep me from being that effective in St. Louis, to be honest with you. Not to be cryptic, but it was. But anyway, let's learn more about these places that we're looking at. I love luxury real estate. I don't do much. Because I don't like houses that don't sell for a long time. It irritates me. I like to get houses sold. I like to price houses where they need to be priced and get them gone. So anyway, that's that. Christmas Eve, it's a weird thing. So I went out. I just want to give you a window into my world. St. Louis has been, I'd say, affected by the pandemic in a way that is not predictable. But I kind of had an idea how things were going to go. We try to act like a small town a lot of times. The networks that people have in St. Louis are very, very tight. If you're not part of the in crowd, then you're not in the in crowd. If you are an executive from somewhere else that moves to St. Louis, you'll be welcomed with open arms into the crowd. But if you've lived here all of your life and never gotten into the crowd to start, you're going to have a tough time unless you make an awful lot of money. You may say, well, that's not true, John. It's okay. We just have a difference of agreement. But anyway, because it's got a small town feel, even though we've got a city of 3.5 million at one point in time, I don't know what the exact number is right now. You can get away with things here that are kind of interesting. One of the things that they've gotten away with this year that's causing me panic is that the two main grocery stores are closing for the holidays. So they'll close tomorrow. Schnucks and Deerbers will close tomorrow, and they will not be open again until at the end of the weekend, so until Monday. And for you, you may say, well, that's great. They're helping out their employees and everything's great. And I'm not arguing that. I think it's fantastic. But to close a major grocery store over the holidays, the entire weekend, just drives me crazy. Why? I'm afraid that I'm not going to have groceries. And you say, well, that's stupid. Just buy groceries ahead of time. I have a refrigerator full of food. I have two refrigerators full of food. I'm still scared to death that the local grocery store isn't going to be open. I mean, it just drives me. Now, understand there's Walmart will be open. I suspect Walgreens will be open. I suspect fast food will be open on Sunday. I'm not going to starve. But the fact that they're closed is scaring me to no end. And it follows here and I'm gonna go in a different direction. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but like I said, I'm in St. Louis, and so for the longest time, this is from my grandparents. So they've just passed in the past maybe 5-10 years, but it was instilled in all of us, their kids, and now me. If it's going to snow, if the meteorologist says it's going to snow, well, you must go to the grocery store and get bread and milk. It just must be done. I don't have any other logic to it other than that's what must be done, and so that's what is done. I don't know if you can reliably track the data that shows that when the meteorologist says it's going to snow, that people will run to get bread and milk from the grocery store. I just know that that's what's always been told to us, so we do it. I don't even like milk. And what am I going to do with a loaf of bread? Toast? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So this year we're running into a bit of a problem because, honestly, I've got my air conditioning on today. I've got my air conditioning on. It's hot here. I tried to wear a coat. And it's I got to do something here in just a minute. So, gosh, sorry to bother you, but I was having a little spot. Anyway, so yeah, bread and milk. That's what we have to do. We have to go get bread and milk. Don't even eat bread or milk, but that's what we do. So that's thrown me totally off of my flow. And so anyway, what do you guys do? What do you guys do for Christmas Eve? Oh, we were talking about the weather. So I've literally got the air conditioning on right now. And I've got the air conditioning. It may be on tomorrow. Now, I don't remember that ever happening. You want to say it's global warming. You want to say climate change. You can say, whatever you'd like to say. You could say that it's man's fault. It's not man's fault. I don't care. All I know is that I've got my air conditioning on. I don't have to worry about it snowing. So we don't need to go buy bread and milk from the grocery stores that are actually going to be closed this weekend. Now, Saturday is Christmas Day. So and they're really just going to be closed on Sunday. They say it's to help. They say it's to help the workers as a thank you to them for their. But they've had to turn off their hours. They've had to lower their hours because no one's going to the stores apparently, or they're not needed, or the pay isn't good enough. I don't know the excuse. All I know is I'm scared about not getting to the grocery store, even though there's a Walmart literally 5 minutes away from my house. So anyway, that's what I'm dealing with. How about you? How are things going with you? Did you, were you naughty? Were you nice? Will you be getting a gift tonight? That's an interesting one. So I'll tell you what I'll get tonight. Tonight is Christmas Eve. Yesterday I told you about going to Aunt Helen and Uncle Fred's house, and the pure joy of being a kid and getting gifts. I have lost all of that. I've lost all of it. I want to be excited about Christmas. I want to be excited about it. I don't really. Just another day. I don't know if I'm bitter or what happened, but do you guys open presents on Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day? Does it depend on where you go? Or are you even allowed to have Christmas presents? I mean, how do you do Christmas? Tonight I will get gifts from my aunt, but I might get gifts from some friends that are there, but I will not get my main gifts until tomorrow. I don't know what I'm getting. I'm excited about it, that part, but not, the dinners and all the other stuff I could do without. Are you banning? I'd be interested to know. I don't I don't really follow things other than are you banning people from not coming to your house if they've not been vaccinated or if they've not taken a test within the past 24 hours? Are you doing that? How's that working for you? Are you okay with that? We're not doing that at our house. I'm just curious. Where's that happening? And then let's go a little bit more into Twitter because I'm very, very confused by the platform. So I don't know if you saw Phil Mickelson had a tweet about the virus, and I'm not going to repeat it because I don't remember it well enough to know. But I actually read the replies that people were writing, and they were, I wouldn't say unhinged. I just don't believe people think that way. Like, am I being naive? I mean, how could you live your life with such hate? I mean that. I mean, and then like the hatred in the hatred while proclaiming love for your neighbor. That's what I'm confused by. So it got to the point: are these people real? Like, or are they a caricature of themselves? Are they bots? Because there's no way these people think this. They're in the responses, in the replies. I'm just blown away by stuff. My life is constantly like what I would say is a wonder. If that makes any sense. It's like, wow. And hopefully through our live streams we can get to the point where, I can see what is the thought? Like, how can you, like, how did I miss this thought? How relevant is this thought? I've already caught myself. This is my 26th live stream. I have no idea what I said on my first live stream. I'm just trying to explain this as I understand it. Of course, John, if you don't hit the record button, then anyway, here's the thing. I always used to watch the news or read the news or be on Twitter or something newsworthy, and someone can universally condemn what someone said, a public character. So, like, let's say somebody said something that seemed to indicate that an opposing viewpoint over a certain amount of years. So there's this Twitter feed, Defiant L's, and it'll take what somebody wrote one time, like say 2010, and then put it against what they said like yesterday, and it'll be the exact opposite. And I was, that's funny. Okay. Political aside, it's funny. But having spoken to you now for 1 hour per day, minimum, 26 days in a row, okay, I cannot tell you what I said on my first live stream. I can't tell you what I've said yesterday. I have a pretty good idea of yesterday, but not down to the thing. And so there's this famous theme in the movie. I don't know if you saw Anchorman. First one, the second one was terrible. Where they said anything you put on the teleprompter, he'll read. And so, the character Will Ferrell reads it, and they put it as horrible things. And so he read them, and then he was like just walking down and thought everything was fine. And then the everyone was like, "Do you know what you said?" And he's like, "No, I don't have any idea." And it caused him to be kicked out of the thing. And what was her, Monica Corningstone was then she went on to be a good anchor woman or something. Anyway, that's kind of the way I feel. I really have no, like, if someone now were to say, they could basically make whatever caricature of me that they'd want to, because again, I have no idea what I said a week ago. And so this whole facade that I thought was reasonable by the media isn't really that reasonable when you're paid to talk. I mean, I want to take shots at some people, but I won't. Let's just say you're paid by the government to speak on something, okay? And you literally book videos, video appearances or podcast appearances all day. That's what you do. You literally talk all day to different people, and you get asked the same questions, and you answer them the same way. And then sometimes somebody will put a variation on the question, and then you'll answer it differently, and then someone else will say, "Oh my God, you've changed your position or something," and it's like, maybe, but more than likely, I misspoke, which is not acceptable in our language right now. You're not allowed to misspeak, which is terrible for me because that I struggle with it. I'm not good at. The whole point of my live stream and my podcast and my public persona is to learn and to practice being able to speak well. And by speak well, I mean be compelling in my speech. Try to avoid the ums and the pauses and all these ticks that I can't stand. Anyway, I've learned that. Coming in on the, like this being the 26th, I'm going to do a YouTube video on, what I've learned in my time live streaming. And I don't have all the answers yet, but I will say I feel a lot more comfortable. Between what I think and what I say, the time space there has gotten smaller. I still get locked up every once in a while, but I usually am able to keep going. But as I say that, I jinx myself, and so I don't want to do that too much. Let's get into the main show, the main wheels. As you know, I'm out of the loop, and so I use Google search the trends to find out what is going on, so that I have some idea, some understanding of the world around me. So if someone asks me on a listing call, "Hey, did you see so and so passed away?" I can say, "Oh yes." Number one, I will know who that person is because I have no idea most of the time. Number two, I will know what they did. And what I've noticed on Google Trends is kind of fascinating. Sporting events. I mean, people search sporting events on Google like ridiculous. Like anytime the NFL plays, top searches. So our culture seems to be, at least in the United States, seems to be dominated by professional sports. Is that a good thing? Well, that I've left the pro sports environment. I could care less, and I could also care. By the way, college is pros, and I could care less. I do pay attention to Mizzou. I'm not like a diehard fan, but I do watch because I've spent many years, following them and their terrible luck in football, and what was once a great basketball team when I was growing up. At least great in the sense that those guys went out there and really went after it. Now we've had a number of different coaches, and it's all been kind of mediocre. I don't mean that to be insulting. If any of the aspiring basketball players are considering Mizzou over somewhere else, please choose Mizzou. Good players fix most problems. Same thing with football. If you're a great football player, please go down to Mizzou. But it's just been a lot of heartache for this person for many years. Well, let's get into the Google search. Like, let me just go back just a second and say, I've been able to take what I've learned in Google search the past couple days and it works well. Someone asked me about Spider-Man. I knew about Spider-Man. No one's asked me about the Mexican singer that passed away. I feel bad about that. I mean, 2 million searches and no one's talking to me about it. Kind of weird. And then that the whole equinox thing. This is a big deal. So let's get into it. Do you know who Joan Didion is? Now, I don't know if it's Didion or Didion, and I didn't look it up ahead of time, and I'm sorry, but she's dead. It says peerless pro stylist dies at 87. I don't know what that means, a peerless pro stylist. I believe she's a writer. But we're going to learn, and you're coming with me. Joan, again, Didion. I'm going to go with that. It's not an insult. It's what I'm reading. And if you do get mad at me, like, tell me how to pronounce my last name. You know how many people screw that up? It says, the revered author and essayist whose precise social and personal commentary in such classics as The White Album, which I thought was by the Beatles, and The Year of Magical Thinking, which I've never heard of, made her a uniquely clear-eyed critic of turbulent times, has died. She's 87. She's 87 years old, passed away. Anthony Fauci's 81, and he's running the National Health Institute. I don't know. It seems odd. Didion's publisher, Penguin Random House, announced the author's death on Thursday. Well, what is today? Friday. She died from complications from Parkinson's disease, the company said. Now, just in my notes, there were over 500,000 searches on this woman passing away, which is a lot for Thursday, random. Didion was one of the country's most trenchant writers and astute observers. Well, let's do something we don't normally do. I don't know what trenchant means. Forceful and clear, caustic and cutting, or distinct, clear cut. We're going to go with forceful and clear, penetrating. She was one of the most trenchant writers and astute observers. Her best-selling works of fiction, commentary, and memoir have received numerous honors and are considered modern classics. Well, again, I've never heard of this woman, and I'm not celebrating my ignorance as much as I had no idea. Along with Tom Wolfe, who I did know about, Nora Ephron, Gay Talese, I don't know who that is. Didion reigned in the pantheon of new journalists, quote unquote, who emerged in the 1960s and wedded literary style to nonfiction reporting. I don't even know what that means. Tiny and frail, even as a young woman with large, sad eyes, often hidden behind sunglasses and a soft, deliberate style of speaking, she was a novelist, playwright, and essayist who once observed that I am so physically small, so temperamentally unobtrusive, and so neurotically inarticulate that people tend to forget that my presence runs counter to their best interests. I don't know who this is, and here she is with all these things that she is. So let me just do my thing. I am John Shinks. I'm a real estate agent. I'm the founder of Deerwood Realty. I am an entrepreneur. I was a musician at one time. I'm a vlogger. I'm many things. Not novelist, playwright, and essayist, though, although maybe someday. Or, as she more famously put it, writers are always selling somebody out. I don't know, but thank you for that. Didion received a National Humanities Medal in 2012 when she was praised for devoting her life to noticing things other people strive not to see. Okay, let's read that again because I don't know what that means. When she was praised for devoting her life, so she devoted her life to noticing things other people try instead of strive, not to see. I say try and strive. Okay, so she saw things that other people didn't and got an award for it. For decades, she had engaged in the cool and ruthless dissection of politics and culture, from hippies to presidential campaigns to the kidnapping of Patty Hearst, and for her distrust of official stories. So I don't believe official stories. So is this someone that I am about? I don't know. This is a kinfolk? Slouching Towards Bethlehem and The White Album and other books became essential collections of literary journalism, which I don't really know. I didn't know there was such a thing. With notable writings including her takedown of Hollywood politics in Good Citizens and a prophetic, what politics is she taking down in Hollywood now? It'd be very fascinating to find out. And a prophetic dissent against the consensus that in 1989, 5 young black and Latino men had raped a white jogger in Central Park. The men's convictions were later overturned and they were freed from prison. Now, this happened in 1989. I was born in 1977. 1987 would be 10, 1989 would be 12. I don't know anything about this. I have no idea what this is about. Author Susan Orlean called Didion my idol and inspiration on Twitter. I don't know who author Susan Orlean is. Didion was equally unsparing about her own struggles. She was diagnosed in her 30s with multiple sclerosis and around the same time suffered a breakdown and checked into a psychiatric clinic in Santa Monica, California that diagnosed her worldview as fundamentally pessimistic, fatalistic, and depressive. In her 70s, she reported on a personal tragedy in the heartbreaking 2005 work, The Year of Magical Thinking, a narrative formed out of the chaos of grief that followed the death of her husband and writing partner, John Gregory Dunne. It won a National Book Award, and she adapted it as a one-woman Broadway play that starred Vanessa Redgrave. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about that. Dunne had collapsed in 2003 at their table and died of a heart attack, even as their daughter, Quintana Rue Dunne Michael, was gravely ill in a hospital. The memoir was a bestseller and a near instant standard. I don't know what that means. The kind of work people would instinctively reach for after losing a loved one. Didion said she thought of her work as a testament of a specific time. Tragically, Magical Thinking became dated shortly after it was published. Quintana died during the summer of 2005 at age 39 of acute pancreatitis. Didion wrote of her daughter's death in the 2011 publication Blue Nights. Now understand, this is just me. I know nothing about this person. Okay, never heard of her. Okay, obviously a very accomplished person. I mean, based on all of these things, it's just like, how do we go through the world without? I mean, we don't know everything, and maybe my contribution to this is, look, I don't know anything about these people. Like. When somebody comes across to me and they say that they're an expert in this or an expert in that, it strikes me as someone to walk away from who's not serious, because there's no possible way that you know everything about everything. In fact, I've met two people in my life that they say they know everything about everything, and it just drives me nuts, and we're not friends because they're insane. They're strange people. They don't know everything. Nobody does. Okay, here we go. We have kind of evolved in a society where grieving is totally hidden. It doesn't take place in our family. It takes place not at all, she told the Associated Press in 2005. I don't know. I guess she was talking about her daughter's death. Very fascinating that, I mean, her family's, there's not a lot of people there. If it's 2005 and her child and her husband are dead, I don't know. Not as a joke. We all grieve differently, I would think. Didion spent her later years in New York, but she was most strongly identified in her native state of California, a hologram that dematerializes as I drive through it. It was the setting for her best-known novel and despairing Play It As It Lays, and for many of her essays. So she wrote, and the background was California. California belongs to Joan Didion, wrote the New York Times critic, good Lord, Michiko Katukani. Not the California where everyone wears aviator glasses, owns a jacuzzi, and blinds his clothes on Rodeo Drive, but California in the sense of the West, the Old West, where manifest destiny was almost a palpable notion that somehow tied to the land and the climate and one's own family. Now look, this is where I get in trouble. And I'm just going to put it out there so that you guys know in the future, what's going on. All right. Have you ever read The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe? I thought it was about a raven. Okay. I did. And I'm not ashamed to say that because it seems to be about a raven. Now, my friend at the time when I was in high school was brilliant. Okay. Guy was brilliant. So he raises his hand. He says, oh no, it's about this. I'm sure it's something or oppression or I don't know. It's talking about other things. It's not about the raven. And I was like, well, why don't you write about those other things instead of the raven? Like, it seemed to make sense to me. This is where I'm at in my life. And that's the way I've always been. I don't understand this, like these metaphors and stuff. Like I'm not very good at figuring them out. It's not obvious to me. I don't know why you would do such a thing. It just doesn't go against. It just goes against who I am. It's not who I am. But now they're doing this writing here, and it's all about this. I got nothing. I feel like that holograms and manifest destiny, when we're talking about a lady that's passed away and lived in California, I get all confused. It says Didion's subjects also included earthquakes, movie stars, and Cuban exiles, but common themes emerged: the need to impose order where order doesn't exist. I mean, that seems like something that makes sense. The gap between accepted wisdom and real life, again, right on board. The way people deceive themselves and others into believing the world can be explained in a straight narrative line. I totally seem to be able to relate to this, but I don't. Is she the first person to come up with this? I don't know. Am I the second? It doesn't seem that way. Much of her nonfiction was collected in the 2006 book, We Tell Ourselves Stories in Order to Live, named after the open sentence of her famous article essay from The White Album, a testament to one woman's search for the truth behind the truth. I mean, this is getting way past, where I'm at. I don't even know where to go with this. It says, we look for the sermon in the suicide, for the social or moral lesson in the murder of 5. She wrote, we live entirely, especially if we're writers, by the imposition of a narrative line upon disparate images, by the ideas with which we have learned to freeze the shifting phantasmagoria, which is our actual experience. I got nothing. She was a lifelong explorer, writing about a trip to war-torn El Salvador in the nonfiction Salvador, and completing a book of common prayer after a disastrous trip to a film festival in Colombia in the early 70s. South and West from a Notebook, observations made while driving around the American South, came out in 2017, the same year nephew Griffin Dunne's documentary, Joan Didion, The Center Will Not Hold, was released. In 2019, the Library of America began compiling her works in bound volumes. I don't know what the Library of America is, and I don't know this movie, The Center Will Not Hold, and that was 2019, it's 2021. You'd think I'd have heard of it. Now, I want to keep going because I think we're going to get a window into why I don't know anything about this person. It says, Didion praised herself on being an outsider, more comfortable with gas station attendants than with celebrities. That she and her husband, whose brother was the author-journalist Dominic Dunne, were placed well in high society. I like these rebels placed in high society, as if they're not really in high society. Anyway, in California, they socialized with Warren Beatty and Steven Spielberg, among others, and a young Harrison Ford worked as a carpenter on their house. They later lived in a spacious apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side, knew all the right people, and had a successful side career as screenwriters, collaborating on The Panic in the Needle Park, a remake of A Star Is Born, and adaptations of Played as It Lays and His True Confessions. Born in 1934 in Sacramento, California, and descended from pioneers who had traveled with the notorious Donner Party, Didion was fascinated by books at an early age. I mean, now this may be commentary on my part, but like the neighbor kid, Oliver, he's 5. He's fascinated by the iPhone. You know what? He's also fascinated by a screwdriver. It's pretty much everything's fascination when you're a child. She was encouraged to write by her mother as a way of filling time, and was especially impressed by the prose of Ernest Hemingway, who I loved as a fellow graduating in college, but have veered far off of Hemingway, whose terse rhythms anticipated her own. So she modeled after Hemingway. She was both shy and ambitious, inclined to solitude, but also determined to express herself through writing and public speaking. She graduated from the University of California at Berkeley in 1956 and moved to New York for a job at Vogue after winning a writing contest sponsored by the magazine. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Conservative in her early years, I apologize for saying years, voting for Republican Barry Goldwater in 1964, he was supposed to have lost by the biggest margin ever. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they say. Out of Arizona. In contributing essays to William F. Buckley's The National Review, Didion became more liberal later on, attacking the role of religion in politics and the establishment's increasingly histrionic insistence that President Clinton be removed from office for his affair with Monica Lewinsky. That's a very fascinating way to put it. A very interesting way to put it. Having lived through it, the question was, is it okay for the president to lie under oath? And then the question became, well, he didn't really lie because he doesn't know what it is or something. It was really bizarre. If you lived that time, you know. She was especially scathing about the quality of political reporting. Now, this is interesting. Mocking the inside baseball journalism of presidential campaigns and dismissing Bob Woodward's best-selling books as vapid and voyeuristic political pornography. I don't really... On the Bob Woodward's books, I've read some of the excerpts over the years, and they're strange to me. Didion married Dune, whom she had met at a dinner party in 1964. 2 years later, they adopted a baby girl, Quintana Roo. Author couples are this was an odd thing too. Author couples are notoriously combustible. Whether the drunken brawl of Lillian Hellman and Dashiell Hammett, who I don't know, or the infidelity and suicidal demons of Ted Hughes and Sylvia Plath. But despite their own conflicts, Didion says she and Dunn grew and endured. Whatever troubles we had were not derived from being writers. What was good for one was good for the other. Now, what I've noticed about, and I'm going to say this may be political. The only good Republican is a dead Republican as far as the news is concerned. And I submit to you this following evidence. George Bush, the original, hated by the media. George Bush dies. All of a sudden, the media says he was the greatest Republican ever, and every politician should be more like President Bush. John McCain hated. Do you remember what they did to that guy during the presidential campaign? Hated. John McCain dies. John McCain's a wonderful Republican. Wonderful Republican. I don't know if this woman is in the same boat. I don't know if she was hated during her life. And now she's being praised. I just know there's a pattern there. So, the last one, Bob Dole. Hated Bob Dole. Media loves Bob Dole when he's dead. I mean, this is me. I'm 44 years old. I've lived through the deaths of these people, and this is what happened. If you think differently, you're welcome to it. You could say that these people were loved during their lives, and then the media just was reacting at the end. I didn't see it that way, but you're entitled to your opinion. So, anyway, this woman's passed. I don't know anything about her. I know more now. Sorry that she's gone. I'll have to check out a book of hers. Seems like a fascinating woman. Going to Houston, Texas. I've been wanting to go to Houston, Texas for 3 days. We went to San Antonio, Texas about 3 days ago. Properties weren't that nice. No offense to you people in San Antonio, okay? It's not your fault. I mean, it's supposed to be a wonderful place. But the housing market at the time wasn't showing me houses that were, amazing. We're going to Houston. These houses are amazing right now. You got $30 million, and it's Douglas Eielman, Compass, Douglas Eielman, Compass, Sotheby's, Nan and Company, Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's, Compass, Sotheby's. It used to be Sotheby's across the board. They've fallen in my opinion. I can't prove it. I say as a national brokerage as well. I have, and as a national brokerage brand, I think they're Realogy. So anyway, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, let's look at this house here. $29.5 million, Lazy Lane Boulevard, 289 days on the market, 4-car garage, built in 1989, 36 pictures. So when some person comes to me with their $200,000 house and says they need 100 pictures, I'm going to tell them that they're wrong, and they are. So we're driving up. This is kind of odd. I like to start with the beginning of the house. So it should be this picture, not this picture, this whole picture. Uh-oh, I lost my mouse. It should be this picture of the front of the house, but it's not, and no one asked me. This is the front of the house. It has this weird side wing. You can see it from the other picture. This is the drive into the house, which I think is good. This is the tennis court, which to me isn't helpful in the beginning of the picture. I want to go in the beginning of the listing photos. I want to go into the house. I want to see the front room, and then I want to walk around. Now I don't know what I'm doing. Now I'm just lost. Why am I outside? Oh, now I'm in the house. Did I look at this house already? It looks similar. I could have been in here before. Yeah, I've been in here. I remember this picture right here. We've been in Houston. I don't know when, but I've seen this house. Yeah. Gosh, I got to do better. Because I've been in here. And you guys have too if you've been with me. But look at it. The only thing cool about this house I remember is the pool. And I think because it's like an indoor pool. That's funny. See, I didn't like this. Didn't like that. I remember this. And this is just too much wallpaper. But this is what I remember. This was the part. So here's the thing. And it was right by the river. And I thought that was cool. But here's the thing. I'm going to move on from this today because, like I said, we've been to it. I don't feel like we're going to gain anything from it. And I remember the gardens. I don't know why I picked it twice, but I did. And I'm wrong. I mean, I made a mistake. I'm owning up to it. 47 minutes into our live stream, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I'll do better. Kind of weird that I missed that. All right. Let's get into some articles. I like real estate articles because I have no idea if I believe them or not. I just like to read them now. Let me just see if I think what you're going to see here is I haven't read through these articles before I put them up. So, as I read it, what you hear is me thinking through it. So it says, you may hear the term starter home pretty frequently. But wonders a buyer, what does that really mean? When you're buying a home for the first time, you not only have to understand what a starter home is for you, but you also have to whether or not it's best to skip ahead and invest in your starter home. So I've made the argument. Let's say you're a college kid. You're out of school. You're $100,000 in debt. You're $25,000 in debt for a car. And you want to buy a house. But you really can't buy a house because you can't save up any money because you're paying debt for other people. It's a bad situation. So in that respect, I think everyone's kind of in a starter home boat. But what happens when the starter home is $350,000? The average price of a home is over $400,000 in the United States. I think it's $413,000 right now. I mean, you're not getting a house. And if you are, it's going to be a starter home. What does a starter home mean for me? Let me just do what a starter home is for me. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home, no garage, less than 1,000 square feet in a bad school district. That's in St. Louis. Am I wrong? And that puts you to about 130 on a nice home. Starter home can be a single-family house, a condo, or a townhome. Starter homes are something the average first-time homebuyer can afford but will likely outgrow. A starter home relative to the local real estate market will be on the lower end of things. These homes may be older, smaller, generally modest. They may also be brand new but still designed to meet the needs of an entry-level buyer. I've never seen a new starter home. Going back to the 80s, I've never seen one built in St. Louis. There aren't going to be all the features you maybe hope to have someday, but you can envision for that for the near-term future. A starter home will suit your lifestyle. You may find that you stay in your starter home forever, for whatever reason. Forever, whatever, it rhymes. You might, on the other hand, move up eventually to a home that's in a more desirable neighborhood or is more expensive. I'm reminded of the line in Same as It Ever Was, letting the days go by. You may find yourself in the middle of a 5-room house. How did I get here? This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. Letting the days go by was, come on, it was in the 80s. Somebody help me out. I'm going to look at the chat. This is where an active chat would be helpful. A crowded house? No. Anyway, I'll get it tomorrow. Same as it ever was. And the guy, he does the little dun-dun. A very wonderful song. Thought-provoking. What's a forever home? So they just did a starter home. This is what a forever home is. A forever home is one that can be not just larger, but maybe updated and have more outdoor space. Now, I've been talking about the outdoor space lately. Like, finished outdoor space is cool. We live in, like I said, we live in St. Louis. We have 4 seasons. We used to. It's 12:25. It's 12:24. It's the day before Christmas Day, and it's 70 degrees outside. Very unheard of. It normally snows and is miserable. But we don't get that anymore, not for the last 10, 15 years. I'm almost to the point where I'm going to say it's not like that. I mean, we just have a couple weeks where it's miserable, and then it's about the same all the time. A forever home can have some of the features that are highly desirable and make a property competitive when it hits the market. That would be a first floor master bedroom. It may have a big private yard and be in a great school district, for example. That would be a first floor master bedroom in Lindbergh School District. Of course, a forever home is subjective. For some people, that home may be one where they can envision raising a family. For others, a forever home might be a fixer-upper that needs some TLC but is in a great neighborhood. I agree with that. A forever home doesn't have to be inherently luxurious, but one deciding fixture is they tend to be bigger than a starting home. Now, I did not go the starter home route when getting a home. I went with a forever home. And I can tell you that my forever home now doesn't make any sense in my lifestyle. I didn't have my wife. I didn't have 3 children. That all just happened. That's why I hate the question, where will you be in the next 5 years? I have no idea. Hopefully alive. And from there, I mean, I'm good. The benefits of a starter home. Well, what are the benefits? If you're at a point where you weigh whether you should buy a starter home for a forever home, both have pros and cons. A starter home will be less expensive typically, so you can save for a down payment faster. Then you can begin to build equity sooner as well. If you wait to afford a forever home, that's more time you're going to sink into rent unless you're investing in equity. When you're ready for your forever home, you can then use the equity you've gained to buy it. I agree with this. The problem that I'm seeing in the marketplace right now is if you own a starter home and say you paid like $100,000 for it, and you're going to buy and I'm using fake numbers, and you're going to buy your forever home. When you bought your home, it was worth $100,000, and a forever home was worth $150,000. Now, when you go to buy your forever home, your house is $150,000, and a forever home is $200,000. So you don't get any benefit. You actually lose moving into your forever home. The downside of a starter home is you'll likely outgrow it when you enter another phase in your life. And as we've talked about in real estate, life events, key real estate transactions, at least that's what the general theory is. Is it true? I don't know. For example, maybe you'll get married or have kids and a starter home will no longer meet your needs. Life events would also say maybe you'll get divorced. And if you're living in a starter home, that's less to split up between you and your wife or husband. Anyway, it's a life event, and it's a reason to buy or sell real estate. If you decide it's time to move from your starter home, you have to sell or rent it. You'll have to find another home, get approved for another mortgage, and pay closing costs. I don't know that that's a negative. You're going to have to do that with whatever home you buy. The benefits of a forever home, well, I'm sure there are. If you think you might like to skip the starter home and go straight to your forever home, there are benefits. There's a peace of mind that comes with knowing you plan to stay in your home for the long term without having to worry about selling it or moving. Yes, and this is what we were talking about in a strange way. When you own a piece of property and you feel like you're a part of the community, according to that Vox article, that makes you a very bad person because you vote against the public interest, and you're more concerned about your own, which is fascinating because let's just say you live in St. Louis, and let's just say there's a crime problem. Okay. Now, I say this to be fair. We do seem to have a crime problem in certain parts, and the perception that we have a crime problem has permeated the entire United States. Okay. It's not me that brings this up. In fact, we're known for our crime, which is bad. A bad thing to be known for, Anyway, you live in a house, you're in a forever home, and the neighborhood starts going bad around you, and you want to leave, but you're in your forever home. Then all of a sudden you start caring a whole lot about policies. And sometimes you buy a forever home and you don't have the financial means to ever move from your forever home. Or like the physical, like you may be 80 years old, you're not moving. And you're moving into a home. It's a bad situation. Anthony Fauci's 81, not in a home yet. You can take time to settle in and make the home perfect for your needs gradually. The downside is that a forever home will probably be the more expensive, meaning it takes longer to save a down payment and you're just delaying building equity. Let's just look at that argument for a moment and kind of flip it. So let's say you can buy a $100,000 forever home or a $500,000 forever home. Okay, and I know that sounds crazy, but I'm trying to put forth a point. My argument to you is that if you bought the $500 forever home, the equity gained, the price appreciation will be more in actual dollars than the $100,000. This is my belief. I don't know if I'm true. I don't know if it's true. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. It just seems like when I see homes like in University City that were $350,000 just 4 years ago, they're now $500,000. Whereas the house that I see in Afton that's $130,000 is $140,000 or $150,000 now. This is what I see. I'm not saying it's perfect, which is right for you. The most important thing when you're buying a house, whether starter or forever home, is to spend what you can generally afford. And that's right. And what ends up happening is you don't think in terms of a starter home or forever home. You think in terms of, I need a place to live. I have this amount of money. What's it going to get me? And that's why, to me, the idea or definition of starter home has changed. Because you almost get to this spot where it's like, what I can buy is not what I want, and I would never be comfortable living there. So therefore, it's not a starter home. Because a starter home, by definition, means you have to be able to enjoy the home before you have to actually be able to live in those conditions that you're happy enough with to make the payments on the house. The general rule of thumb is to spend no more than 28% of your gross monthly income on anything related to housing costs. You shouldn't pay more than 36% on debt, including not just your mortgage, but other loans and credit cards. And, when you get a mortgage, there are those percentages, and you go over that. If you shop for a forever home, it can be a good move in terms of taxes. When you sell a home too fast after buying it, you may have to pay a capital gains tax if the value goes up. There's an exclusion of up to $250,000 if you file taxes individually, or $500,000 if you're a married couple filing jointly for capital gains on real estate. You lose that exclusion if you own that home for less than 2 years. Along with budget and tax benefits, think about the long-term value of a home before you buy one. You want to look for properties, no matter the price, that have excellent potential resale value. Sometimes you do also have to remember that what you think is forever right now might not really be forever. This line here, you might want to look for properties, no matter the price, that have an excellent potential resale value. This is something that I see in my business. When someone says, hey, should I buy the 2-bedroom, 1-bath home? Well, not if you want to sell it quickly. Not if you want price appreciation. You say, well, John, that's all I can afford. Well, then buy it. It's really not that difficult. You can make it difficult. But no, I mean, and when you're working with me, what is my goal? Well, my goal is for you to be my client forever. So I don't want you to go to a bad house that I can't sell in the future. I want to be able to sell the house. I know that if I got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, I got a better chance of selling it than if I have a 1-bedroom home. 1-bedroom home is terrible. Anyway, let's go to one more article. I feel like we've had a good run. I just want to do one more. Found it fascinating. It says home flipping is getting more competitive and less profitable. Now, this is, to me, wrong. I was in house flipping at one point in time in my life. I was into investor properties at one point in my life. And I will have to say it's a very, very, very competitive market that is always competitive because everyone always wants to make money. And as far as being less profitable, I have no idea, but I'm just saying it is tough. Fast growing prices, these are the key points. Fast growing prices in the housing market as well as low interest rates are enticing more investors to buy homes, renovate them quickly, and sell them for a profit. Kind of like an iBuyer. But while home flips are rising and investors are expecting growing returns, the profits are falling. Well, that's probably not good. The average gross profit on a flip was just under $69,000 in the third quarter, down 1.6% from the same period a year ago. The return on investment fell to 32%. Now, let me just say this. I don't believe that these statistics are going to be accurate at all. There. Fast-growing prices are on the housing market as well as low interest rates are enticing more investors to buy homes, renovate them quickly, and sell them for a profit. But while home flips are rising and investors are expected growing returns, the profits are falling. Let's just see. Do you remember Zillow got into flipping homes? How did that work out for Zillow? Close to 95,000 homes were flipped in the third quarter this year, which was an increase of the second quarter in a row after flipping dropped dramatically in the first year of the pandemic. Flips represented 5% of all sales, according to Adam, a property base. I don't know their data. I don't know that I think it's right. Good luck. If you just look in the title company records or in the tax company records or the tax records for the entire United States and look for houses that were purchased in one year and sold in the same year, those are probably going to be flips. Okay? For the most part, there is going to be some noise. But to try and figure out what the profit is, good luck with that. Yet the average gross profit on a flip was just under $70,000 in the third quarter, down 1.6% from the same period a year ago. The return on investment fell to 32%, the lowest return since the start of 2011. It's also down from nearly 44% in the same period last year, marking the largest annual drop since 2009 when the housing market was in crisis. Now, let me just say this. I'm against fixing and flipping homes for the most part for my buyers, because what they end up purchasing is usually a construction nightmare. And it's overpriced. Those are the reasons. You may be an investor. You may say I'm wrong. Okay. A flip is defined as a home that's bought and sold within the same 12-month period. They're getting smaller returns as home price increases have started to slow. While investors had purchased the homes, prices were rising a lot faster. The run-up in resale prices was not as much as the run-up in purchase price, and that led to the drop in profit margins. Let me just tell you a story. I had a home that was a fix and flip, or a home for sale that was going to be a fix and flip. I sold it as is a year ago. I put the house on the market for $60,000. It needed everything. I had 30 some odd offers. Some morons came in, and if morons are a bad term by Google standards, I apologize. Some people came in and offered me $30,000 for the house. And they actually spent their time on the offer. Most of the people came in around asking. One fellow went to $65,000 and he got the house. Because of how crazy the market is, he didn't want to work on the house. And within about a 7-month period, he sold it to another flipper for $70,000. So he managed to sell a house, not do anything to it, and still get $5,000 in 7 months for no work other than finding a buyer. When the market's bad, the guy buys the house and loses $10,000. That's the difference in real estate. When you buy a house in a good market and everything's going up, you can make mistakes and still get out from underneath them. When you make mistakes in a bad market, you're not getting out from underneath them. It's clear that declining fortunes weren't enough to repel investors amid a typical scenario of 32% profits before expenses on deals that usually take an average of 5 months to complete. I don't know about that. Like, for instance, if you're a house flipper, aren't you always a house flipper? I mean, that's kind of their business. Anyway, we'll see over the coming months whether the amount they can make on these quick turnarounds will still be enough to keep luring them into home flipping business or start pushing them elsewhere. Investors saw the biggest profits in Oklahoma City, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo, New York. The smallest returns were Laredo, Texas, Boise, Idaho, and Portland, Oregon. Daniel Giacomo has been flipping homes in Baltimore area for over a decade. This year, he said, was particularly tough. Supply chain delays were just the tip of an iceberg. The cost of holding the property longer, the cost of materials, the cost of labor, everything that you can imagine that stems from the rehab process has cost something in addition to what we were expecting, whether it's money or time. Who estimates costs are 30% higher now than during the pre-pandemic period. That's why he's now selling to investors instead of owner-occupants. Investors will rent the properties out, and rental properties don't need the high-end finishing. That saved DG and Camo on costs and boosts his profits. It was easier to shift gears and produce a rental-grade product with materials we could get locally instead of putting a little more into luxury-type product on the market. Even doing that, he flipped about half as many properties this year than last year due to higher costs. This is the key to me. Difficulty in finding flippable properties and supply chain issues. But this is the key. If you want to be a real estate investor, you better find a way to find flippable properties. And this says flappable because they spelled it wrong. As for next year, if interest rates begin to rise as they're expected to do, flippers may pull out again. They won't. They won't because that's what they always do. They buy, and then they're like, oh my God. There's also considerably less inventory available to flip, and that doesn't seem to be easing. The number of active listings in November seasonally adjusted an all-time low, dropping 18% from the same month last year, according to Redfin. If inventory remains that constrained in the pre-spring market, flipping will be even more difficult and less profitable than it is now. Flipping is very difficult. The returns you get on flipping are because it's such a difficult thing to do. Difficult to do consistently. Let's see. I have no spam comments today. Nothing. Guys, seriously. No Russian websites today? I'm a little disappointed. I'm going to head out. I might make another episode of the podcast today. I might not. I don't know. My wife is leaving me alone today. It's kind of weird. She's on her own thing, and I'm on my own thing, and we'll just see how it goes. I want to say thank you. I am going to do a stream tomorrow. I don't know what time. Our party's at 2 at our house. So is it going to be after? After, I'm going to be tired. Before, my wife is going to have me running around. As well she should, and I'm happy to do so. But my day's going to be tough tomorrow. Still kind of sleeping in because of my health. It is Christmas. Kids are probably going to want to get up and see presents, but they're getting to that point where they don't care. It's tough. Anyway, I'm going to do one tomorrow. It'll be my 27th. I want to say thank you for watching. On replay, if you watch on replay, thank you for that. I noticed a lot of my videos are being picked up again on replays. And, if you ever do have time to come in on the chat, come on in. I've got it wide open. You don't have to be a subscriber, but it'd be nice if you were a subscriber. Thank you to that one subscriber out there that did subscribe. 53 subscribers, 6 months worth of work. No, it's